Nice. Cool, man. Well, anyways, Nick, yeah, just jumping back to where I was. How's everything going? Is everything, I know you said it's a fast pace with better, and then, is it, but you like that, you said.
I do. I think if I feel like things can always go faster.
Yeah.
That's just the world of technology. I guess what I'm learning is things never go as fast as you want them to go. I
Yeah.
think everybody just thinks you can push an easy button and things just appear, or it's like baking a cake. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to making something, and so I sometimes I wish I can go faster, but I also think that we're moving fast. We're doing a lot, and we're growing our team, and we are iterating. We're trying to implement as much feedback and everything with and trying to find that right balance. I mean, everybody can have a million and one ideas, but it's trying to find like, okay, what's going to serve the majority? What's going to help? Like, how do you make this not confusing, or how do you make this
Yeah.
sure it serves more people? It'd be great to put all the buttons and widgets and everything that everybody wanted, but then you
Mhm.
wouldn't have very good looking or very easy to use software. So trying to find that healthy balance. And
Yeah.
that's our product team. And then my job is simply to talk about it and to market it and to
Yeah.
kind of put it out there. So like
Nick,
for this,
what was like, what's the ultimate goal like of better? Like, I know obviously it's just try to like easy links and like these other kind of systems are a little bit behind on like innovation,
Mhm.
but like, and I see what you guys are trying to do, but like, what's the ultimate goal? Like, are you just trying to make like the best management system that exists possible for like insurance agents? Is that, I'm just guessing, I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that for us, we want to go back to how we think about agent technology. Number one, we want to put the independent agent first in everything that we
Sure,
do.
sure, sure.
So we want to create tools, and we want to create solutions that empower agents. Number one, I
Yeah.
think where we differentiate ourselves in our philosophy from some of the other companies is I think up until this point, everybody has thought as agency management system or CRM or
CRM, yeah.
all of it like as one thing. Like we are a CRM, we are an
Sure.
agency management system, and they play in that category. And so it's this very narrow path of how do we become the best AMS? How do we become the best CRM? I think for us, the way we think about it is um, we don't see those things as destinations. We see those things as components. So instead of being a CRM or an
Uh-huh.
AMS or any type of technology, we think about how do we
Mhm.
make those things the best that they can be, but make those things features of the actual thing. And
Gotcha.
for us, we and that's why we always talk about agency success and what does agency success mean. And when it comes to technology, we think that agency success is one platform
Right.
in one
Right.
browser.
Where everything
So
has like everything's housed together. Like,
yeah, and so like I mean,
yeah.
I've been selling insurance now, where I was selling insurance from '05 to 2020, and I got my
Okay.
start. I got my start on I spent some time in the captive world, and in the captive world, you have a lot, and captive agents will talk about this a lot. Like the systems, while they may be outdated, at least it's like one thing. Like I'm in one thing. That
Sure.
one thing may
Sure.
not be very good, but I'm in one thing for the most part. And I
Which
think
company was it that you were with, Nick?
I spent time both with AAA in Northern
Okay.
California,
Gotcha.
and then I did a very brief stint at Allstate
Gotcha.
before launching going independent in 2012. And but that they might talk about the bad technology, but at least I'm in one ecosystem. And
Right.
so that's kind of how we think about it. Not the bad technology part. We want to create one ecosystem for independent agents,
Right.
and where there'll be lots of things that always come into play that we just won't ever do. And the example I always give
Mm-hmm.
is we're really good friends with the folks over at Glovebox.
Okay.
We're never going to make a mobile app. We're never
Okay.
going to create a. We're never going to do what they're doing.
Sure.
So on the things like that where it makes sense, let's build deep integrations with those companies
Mm-hmm.
so that people can still operate in one ecosystem, even with the integration. And so that's kind of how we think about it overall. One platform in one
Yeah.
browser for agency success.
Totally, man. Totally. I feel like there's a lot even I'm sure you guys get a bunch of feedback from agents, but like just off the top of my head, like the most basic thing I can even think of that I have to manually do in Excel. And luckily I studied this in college. So like I know what I'm doing as far as like data analysis. but I don't even have like a graph of like where my book is. And like I would just like basic things where I would like to see like the pulse of my business and my agency and like cancellations and all these things. Like they exist, but they're just so choppy and they look kind of
Yeah.
funky. Like I think from what I've seen from you guys, it seems like you guys are headed in the right direction, which is cool. What are like some of the cool features that you feel like are that you think are kind of better and like better? Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest feature is kind of goes back to making policy downloads
Okay.
do something. And so we get
Interesting.
policy downloads from all the carriers that download.
Hmm.
And so traditionally that information has just stayed in your digital filing cabinet.
Yep.
It's good to look up and it's a resource and that's all good. But historically that data hasn't been easy to leverage or to integrate or to create offensive strategies around. So
Gotcha.
for us, I think the big thing is taking downloads from Ivan's
Hmm.
or AL3 files if your carrier does that,
Okay.
and to automate whether it is onboarding, renewal information, claims. I think claims to me that's the biggest one. That's my personal favorite is the
Okay.
claims one
Yeah, yeah. So
because I
then,
mean,
so then it gets downloaded as a claim, and then where does it like? What can you do with it? What would you like? Send it in like an email campaign, or like
yeah,
what would you?
email and text and task follow-up. So
Gotcha.
you know this just as well as I do. Not everybody calls your agency when they have a claim. A lot of
Nope.
people call the carrier direct. And you have no idea if a claim ever happened or not until you're sitting with a marketing rep from that company and they go, here's your loss ratio, here are the claims that, here's, and you're like, holy smokes, where did this $200,000 claim come from on water loss, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody calls you. And so being able to insert yourself into the claims process, not as an adjuster, but as a point of contact, as a
Hmm.
empathetic touch to help, make sure you can answer questions, I think to me is big. I also think the renewal aspect is big. So when renewals come in, being able to move it accordingly, especially in a state like California, where I know
Yep.
you're at, where rates can kind of be all over the place. They're never
Totally.
going down, they're always going up. But
Yep.
being able to segment that properly to say, okay, we want to create SOPs and workflows based on this percentages increase. Maybe we reshop them, maybe we don't. That's subjective to the agency. But being able to at least communicate in a certain way based
They're
on
there.
renewals. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. No, that's great stuff, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like that would definitely. Do you see it being in like, across the borders or like certain packages that you have to go for like the elite package or like the middle package or like low package?
To get
Um,
that?
yeah.
No, that's just with the
Comes with.
AMS feature, which is
Gotcha.
a flat cost. So you
Gotcha.
can do it in the CRM, but it's more manual. You got to move
Gotcha.
stuff around. Whereas in the AMS, it's like telepathy. It just moves it for you.
What about the companies that don't download? That's the stuff that like drives me kind of nuts. Um,
Yeah.
what do you? I mean, what is it? What can we do? We can't really do anything about it, can we? Or
What? Yes and no. So the companies that do download, great.
Mhm.
But a lot of companies, they'll have you'll have the ability to get AL3 files,
uh,
and
from
so
the
we have,
company, like they email
yeah.
it to you or something, or
Yeah, so you can create stuff with the company. We have one company in the Midwest and East Coast that is notorious for this. I don't know if we can name drop carriers as much, but we have a company that is very popular in the IA channel,
okay,
but they don't download. And when I say popular, I mean if you're on them, you're basically like captive with them.
okay,
And they don't integrate well with anybody. But they do AL3 files, so you can get AL3 files, and then we created a way to just just upload that like a CSV.
gotcha.
I mean, that's
You just
what
got
are
to
we
be on
supposed
top of it, though, right? You got to just
you
download
got to
it
be on
once.
top of it. You got to be on top of it. And we wish that I
Hmm.
always tell agents in that part of the country, stop writing with that carrier. Like
Yeah,
just, figure out a company that's, beyond the 1995 mark.
right, totally, man. I just like I can't. Sometimes I can't believe. Like that's why I'm stoked to talk to you and like stoked to see what you guys are doing. And
Mhm.
it just with the amount of that's just I feel like it's just so behind. I can't almost like wrap my head around it. I'm like, how is this massive industry with all these people, big carriers making loads of money? Uh, how are
Well,
they?
that's
Why?
it.
No, why can't they innovate?
You named it. You just said it, right? And so I always tell people, like I worked for AAA, and AAA was started in 1908. And when I left there,
Yeah.
I felt like the same people were still in charge.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it, these companies that are making a ton of money. So
Right.
you go to the executive, you go to the product people, you go to the people who make these executive calls.
Yeah.
They're making $300,000, $400,000, or $500,000 a year in their own salary. You're gonna go and
Mhm.
tell them that they're doing something wrong? They don't care. Like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna tell them?
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right. Right.
I
I
think
mean,
that
I
I think
think
that's part of it.
even if they just saw, I don't like, I just, my gut feelings, I don't know what the real data would show here, but like if people were armed with the right information and data for retention purposes, for growth purposes, at the end of the day, I almost feel like it would benefit them. Their salaries would probably even go up if
Yeah, but
they
you
made some of these,
also these
you
are a lot
know?
of these people are different than you and me and people watching this video. You started your agency. You have
Right.
skin in the game. It matters to you.
Yeah, you're right.
There's something there,
I
right?
see.
That is a part of you that if it wasn't there, you would long for it.
Right.
These people, these positions, they're hired hands.
Right.
They don't care. It's not they don't care. They're if it doesn't work at company A, they'll easily land in a soft, cushy C-suite executive role in
Yep.
company B. So skin in the game is not there. So they're not as empathetic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. Hey, Nick, I have this is more of like a selfish question that I'm just curious. Do you guys see any potential of like doing stuff that has to tie or in the near future, or have you guys even like talked to, I'm sure it's probably come up with like blockchain technology possibly being implemented into, um, you know, platforms that you guys are using or any other potential platforms that you guys might buy or do something with?
Yeah. So here's what I'll say on that stuff.
Uh-huh.
I'm a moron. I have no
Okay.
clue. I have no clue how any of that stuff works. I mean, you might as well be talking to my grandpa right now when it comes to that. When people talk about NFTs and blockchain, I'm like, this is what it felt like when I had to explain an HDMI cable to my grandma. Like, I have no idea. Like, I have no clue. So, but with that being said, there are people on our team who are really into that stuff,
Yeah,
and they nerd out on it and they talk about it and they go, it'd be cool to create some, and I don't even want to butcher the verbiage, like the stuff that they
hmm,
talk about. I'm like, no idea. Like, you might as
yeah,
well be speaking Mandarin to me right now. But they talk about doing this stuff. So I definitely think, and that's the benefit or the curse, however you define it,
right,
of having really smart people on your team who do the ones
yeah,
and zeros and design the product, and that's their world. I look at it. So I think it's something that I would say I wouldn't I wouldn't put it past our team to do or to think about
yeah,
what they felt. But again, it goes back to differentiating between what problems can we solve and what's just cool things to do, because the
for
two
sure,
are
for
not
sure.
always the same, right?
I know,
Sometimes I see a
totally.
lot of people involved with stuff and they do stuff and I'm like, well, that's really cool,
Right.
but what problem is that really solving right now
Yeah,
today? And
I think,
so I'd much
yeah,
rather get I'd much rather get the industry off a fax machine before we start talking about
that's a
crypto and blockchain.
that's
Let's get
probably
people on Google Chrome first.
that's a good start, man. That's a good start. I think you guys are, yeah, for sure. I like when I started back in 2018. It blew my mind. I was just like, I was looking up like where's the best system, and I just couldn't believe that even looking at some of their just platforms, I was like, dude, come on, like,
Yeah, I joke. So
you
if you
know,
follow me around on social media, sometimes I've been known to kind of throw sucker punches or left hand, left
yeah,
crosses across the legacy technology bows a little bit. And so I jokingly say I think a lot of these companies, their technology is older than Windows 95.
you think
That's
so?
yes. Like,
Straight
I
up,
mean,
like it
yes, if
is.
you don't have to do a whole lot of homework to be able to go back and say when was this company started,
Damn.
prior to Encarta and Windows 95, and then it's the exact same stuff today. And
Yeah.
so, I
Where do
mean,
you,
stuff
Nick?
changed so much.
Where do you see better like going, like disrupting like the marketplace? Like, what do you think is gonna? What do you see in like the next 5, 10 years? Like, what do you think is gonna happen?
As far as the industry or better agencies role in the
Like
industry.
better agency. Like, do you think it's gonna disrupt everybody and it's gonna just because I mean I don't see very many other people doing it.
Yeah, so I think if I had to guess today and put money
Hmm.
on the blackjack table, I would say that, or I would bet that better agency is kind of thinking as far as I think about it, the first of its kind of thinking about this kind of stuff. And I imagine that there'll be other companies that follow suit.
Hmm.
And I imagine that our goal, I mean, and to us, we consider that a win. I mean, if we could displace a lot of the legacy technology and if we just are very candid and honest about something really fast, a lot
Sure.
of the people that use a lot of that technology,
Hmm.
like there's a AMS in particular, that with the average age of the people who use it is like 60 years old.
Is it really?
And they're large, right? And so I don't see newer agents coming in and filling enough of that vacuum. So I
Mm-hmm.
think time will tell, but I think Better
Yeah.
Agency is going to have a place where it kind of becomes, and this is what we fight for. We want to be that category leader that's affecting change. But if we can also, if other companies come alongside or pop up and say, yeah, we also have the same idea. This is also how we think. We think like this point of view is what we think. We're going to have a different product, but our point of view is the same kind of. Then I honestly think that that's a win. And it doesn't bother us at all when startups, because we're still a startup. We've only been around since 19, and the I think that we'll continue to affect change, and I think that we'll continue to. Our hope is to lead this category of agency success and what agency success means, and to evangelize that point of view. And so I think that there'll be other companies that also get raised up in that and see that the same way, maybe have a different spin on it, but offer a different solution. I think our goal, what we'd love to see, is less fragmentation. Ultimately, we'd love to see a lot less single point solutions, or what we consider single point solutions. Like there's a solution that just does this one thing, and that's all they do.
Gotcha.
And it'd be great if all those single point solutions had more of a streamlined process, but they don't, and they don't work. It's not efficient. But less of that and more of unification, I think, is great.
What was the inspiration behind the Fanny Pack?
I started wearing a Fanny Pack years ago. So when I first had kids,
Yeah.
I found that we would go to Disneyland quite a bit, and living in California, and I'd always be like, a Fanny Pack is a must have at Disneyland. And like, it's so like just right. So there's so much utility in it. Like I don't have to have a backpack. I gotta lug around. I could just have like what I need right there in the Fanny Pack. And it kind of created a life of its own, to where people would send me photos and they'd comment on it. So I turned it into a joke as well. And then I just started wearing it, like kind of to keep up with the gimmick a little bit around. And I didn't mind. Like I liked it. And because I have like a bulky phone and keys and wallet, I'm like, I don't want to put that on my. So I do that, and then it just became like it's almost like Hulk Hogan's yellow shirt that he rips. Like it just became part of the costume. And so then with Better Agency, we're like, let's do Better Agency Fanny Packs. Because I would take a photo. I would take a photo, I posted it online, and people would be like, where's the Fanny Pack? And it just became this joke that just kept going. So I'm like, well, we gotta do a Better Agency Fanny Pack. So not as sexy as I think most people thought of, but that's the truth of it.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I saw the pool Fanny Pack edition. So I didn't know where that like came from. It just popped up in my feed, and I was like, oh my God, it's good marketing, man. Like you're doing a good job.
People remember it. I remember there's a funny story behind that ad. So my partner, who acts as our CEO, he posted that ad, and he and I don't always see eye to eye on like
marketing
tactics.
Okay.
And so I posted it as an experiment, and he saw that the day it released, and he's like, bro, you've got to take. We were in Denver doing a podcast live, and he's like, bro, you have to take that down. I go, bro, let's just give it 24 hours. Let's give it 24 hours and see what it does.
Yeah.
I got him to, and I agreed, and he hesitantly was like, okay, like he's panicking, right? Because he's, and that ad to this day has been our best perform. Like, we get so many people that see that ad, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that get offended by it, don't like it, whatever, that's fine.
Sure.
But there's so many more people that like want to, schedule demos. And I'm like, it works, like you gotta use it sparingly. It's like putting salt or hot sauce on something. Like you can't go overboard with it. But Yeah, that's the story behind
Yeah,
that
because
ad.
if that's the number one like face of the like the bit, you can't. I mean, like you said, you throw it in there here and there. It's
Well, and here's what I think this is a good lesson too for anybody in any vertical. Like when you are starting out, like we did in 2019, and
Mhm.
I think that ad released last year. But when you first start out and you're playing from behind to start, right? You got all these companies
Sure.
that have 30, 40 years of track record,
Right.
good, better, and different. They're established. They got skyscrapers in major cities.
Yep.
Like you have to come out and you've got to throw some haymakers. Like that's just my like you've got to if you're punching up a couple weight classes, you better do something to stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
And so you got to make them remember your name a little bit. I'm talking about like the legacy players. And
Right.
so you have to sometimes do things that can be thought of as a little maybe provocative, or it's all subjective, comedic, however you want to think about it.
Mhm.
And but I tell our team all the time, like there's going to come a point and where that teeter-totter will tip a little bit, and you'll go from a little less like that, and you'll plateau a little bit. You'll find kind of that happy medium between your brand, which
Mhm.
if our brand is going to be fun and kind of out there a little bit, like it's not always going to be that. It might be something different, but it's still, we're going to kind of mellow it out a little bit. But you got to punch up a few weight classes and shake the tree a little bit if you're gonna start out.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think you've done a good job with that. I mean, you've got my attention. I've seen it and I've heard
Good,
it.
bad, or indifferent, it got someone's attention.
Yeah, you guys are buzzing in the space, so I think you're doing a good job. Um, Nick, if you wanted to like point people toward like to go and get schedule with a demo or like to figure it out, where would they do that?
It's very simple to get a demo to learn more about it. You can talk to one of our account executives. You can see a product demo, all that good stuff. Before you jump on a call, you can see pricing, all you can see testimonials. You go to betteragency.io. We're very transparent on all that stuff. You can see exactly what everything costs. You can see what other people are saying about it. Betteragency.io. There's a button there that says discovery call. Click on that button, and you can connect with anybody on our team.
Cool, man. Well, thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. I want to also be respectful of your time. I know we only had 30 minutes here, so yeah, man, I appreciate it. We'll get this out to on my channel, and hopefully, people get some value from it. I think, as the way it continues to develop, I think, like I said, you guys are one of the only people doing it, and you guys are first in line. You guys are right there, and on top of it, seems like you guys are doing good stuff, and so do you guys take feedback like from agents right now? Are you guys like hearing
We
like feedback?
do. We do. So kind of going into our philosophy, you can't take everybody's feedback.
Right.
You have to weigh feedback and you have
Hmm.
to validate feedback.
Right.
Someone might say, hey, I do insurance for underwater basket weavers. I need this feature. Well,
Yeah.
that's great, but we can't change that for everybody. And so
Yeah.
you have to prioritize feedback, and you do that by validation and
Hmm.
importance. So yes, I mean that's how we think about it. So we have a product team that is actively listening to, with their thumb on the pulse, what people are saying, what they're wanting, and kind of trying to categorize that and prioritize it so that we can see what makes the most amount of sense.
Nick, one more question for you. And also I want to give you like one piece of feedback for me that's something I really like that maybe you guys can implement. How hard is it to get if you're already with someone like another management system to get moved over? Is it difficult? Is it pretty easy? What's that transition like?
The answer is it depends.
Hmm.
You'll see, I talk a lot about, and the reason why these rants come out as much as they do is I talk a lot about, like on our channel, about agency data.
Hmm.
The problem that we find is that everybody that we deal with from an exit file standpoint or agency data, it's all messed up. Like
It's
nobody
always.
has had good data. Nobody. And
Mm.
that's not necessarily the fault of the agency. I think there's some best practices that agents haven't been aware of that they should start doing. But the way that AMS databases are structured, without getting too nerdy, it just it's a cluster for everybody. And so
Yeah.
there have been some cases where it's been breezy, easy,
Yeah.
simple. And there have been some cases where it's like, wow, you've got 500 John Does all with 5551212 and Mickey Mouse at AOL.com as the contact information. Like, we got to do a ton of work on that. And so there's we've begun implementing processes to where we're just going to start, and two, AMS companies don't play nice. And so when you go to a particular animal breed mascot AMS that
They just give you some dirty data.
Well, or they'll tell you, we'll get you your data in 12 to 20 weeks.
Oof,
And oh, by the way, it's $5,000 or
no
whatever.
way.
Yeah, it's very
There's-
common. And so that's their way of saying you're stuck. So we say that's BS.
Mhm.
So we're going to do different things in order to make that easier for you. And so
Nice.
that's the stuff that we do now, and that we're continuously iterating is how do we get the data in a way that's quick, that points to the North Star of the carriers, it's clean. And I wish we could push a button and make that all happen within 24 hours, but
Yeah.
it's a process. So the more data you have, the more likely that it's messed up. And we have a lot of agents that'll say, oh, I don't want to move because I know my data's wrong. But I'm like, so you're going to stay on the platform you're at with knowing you have bad data? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Sure. Just gonna
So
get.
yeah, it's it could be easy, it could be tricky, it could take a week, it could take a month, it could take 6 months. We have some customers where it's taken a while because, like, frankly, they'll have 5,000, 10,000 records, and man, it's sorting through a
Wow.
lot of stuff. Not everybody's that way
Yeah.
though. So I try to be very upfront with it. We try to be upfront, and we learn more along the way too. So when we're
Mhm.
talking to people and they're like, "Hey, this is my situation," we know now based on experience, saying, "Okay, this is kind of what we think," and we can give more accurate estimations and try to, hold to those timelines.
Yeah. Nick, just wanted to give you like my feedback of the one feature that I like with my CRM.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys are doing this, but if you guys are, that'd be really cool. I really like the birthday cards, like the welcome actual physical mail cards. I know this is like I'm talking all about like innovating and improving and stuff, but like that's kind of like outdated. Sending out like actual physical stuff that looks like you wrote it. Those are super cool. I feel like those like personal touches, like I'm willing to pay extra for that every single month. So people get that. I don't know. Are you guys doing that or would
Yeah,
you think?
so there's 101 companies that do those cards, and they
Uh-huh.
integrate pretty easily. So
Oh,
we
perfect.
we have a pretty, again, talk about differentiator. We have a pretty robust Zapier integration where you
Nice.
could pass anything out of Zapier and
Mhm.
receive it in. So we can easily set up zaps for that. Another thing that we set up is we thought was a cool touch. So this is an idea for you. I bet
Sure.
you can do the same thing with your CRM. Is we started we created a workflow where you can automate gift delivery to customers via Amazon.
Wow.
So think about this touch. If someone's coming up for renewal, instead of like bugging
Yeah.
them about their renewal, why don't you just send them, if they're homeowners, send them 2 9-volt batteries for their smoke detector a month before renewal. Hey, it's in this stage. Send out, if this and that, they're homeowners, send it to their mailing address or anything, right? I think I like the 9-volt batteries for smoke detectors or carbon
That's
monoxide or
genius.
whatever.
No, it's genius.
Just a cool little touch, right? So you could do a card, you could do a little gift. It's 9 volts cost you, I don't know what they cost now, but they cost you, $10
Yeah.
to just automate that gift, and it just goes out. And so that's a cool thing that you can do as well.
Yeah. That's great stuff. No, I'll definitely keep that in mind, especially with like the big clients. That's really important stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And if it increases your retention by even or at scale by a quarter of a point,
yeah.
at scale, that's not bad.
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks, Nick. I appreciate it, man. I'll let you go. I don't want to keep you tied up here too long. So thank you. And I appreciate you letting me also get this on the channel. So hopefully some people check out better .io. Is that right?
Betteragency.io.
Oh, betteragency.io. Okay,
Yep.
cool, man. Yeah, well, I appreciate it, Nick. Keep it up. Keep innovating, and hopefully we'll see you guys at the top with the the management system game. So appreciate it, dude.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. No worries. All right. Thanks, Nick.
Bye.
We'll see you. All right. Bye-bye.